A woman stabbed to death on St. Albans Drive. Skeletal remains found deep in bushes in central Andros. Atlanta's execs predicting big things in 2014. Plus, the Roots Junkanoo Group puts a new twist on an old theme. The details of those stories and more on the way. I'm Vonique Toot, and NB12 The Weekend Edition starts now. Topping news tonight, the nation's murder count hit 109 this morning when a woman was stabbed to death at an apartment complex off West Bay Street. This year's count is just 2 murders shy of the 111 murders recorded in 2012. Now, this latest murder is the second deadly incident reported this weekend. Jasmine Bonamy was on the scene and filed this report.
Police revealed few details at the scene this morning. However, they did reveal that the victim was stabbed to death in this apartment complex just behind me. Head of the Central Detective Unit Superintendent Paul Roll briefed the press at the scene this morning, revealing police received a call around 4 this morning. Once there, he says officers found a trail of blood leading to the victim's lifeless body at this apartment. Roll said EMS pronounced the victim dead at the scene.
Officers responded to the scene, where upon examination noticed a trail of blood from the exterior of the complex leading to the inside.
According to Roll, based on initial investigations, the victim's body was discovered by residents of the apartment who had just returned home and noticed the trail of blood.
At this stage of the investigation, it is still early. We're not certain what took place as yet. We do believe that the occupants who left and leaving the female at home by herself, when they got back home, that's when they discovered this incident.
He said police are in the process of making an identification over the next 24 hours, but added that the victim appeared to be in her late 20s to early 30s. This morning's murder pushes the national count to 109, according to NB12 records. 111 murders were recorded last year. This is the second murder to occur this weekend and the 8th murder to occur for the month. On Friday night, a man was shot to death on the front porch of a home in Elizabeth Estates. Given the recent spike in murders this month, Roll insisted his team is doing all they can to clamp down on crime, particularly murders. But he says overall, police do have a handle on crime.
This place is still a safe place to be. I encourage those persons who are interested in committing crimes to desist. Sometimes when you talk about homicide, these are crimes of opportunity. I don't know how you can prevent something like this from happening, but the message has to go to persons. We talk about dispute resolution, and so I suppose to continue with that message, people to learn how to solve their disputes.
Anyone with information on any of the recent murders is asked to contact police at 919 or 502-9991. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
A team of officers from New Providence headed to Central Andros this morning to investigate the discovery of skeletal remains on that island. Assistant Commissioner of Police Anthony Ferguson tells NB12 the remains were discovered deep in bushes Saturday afternoon. He says it's too early to say how the person died or whether those remains are those of immigration officer Sean Gardner, who was reported missing last month. Ferguson revealed earlier this month that police were questioning several men in connection with the disappearance of Gardner and his friend Tishka Brennan. Ferguson said at the time there was evidence Gardner's home may have been searched and that a gunshot may have been fired in the home. The immigration officer's government-issued vehicle was also found a distance away from his home. We'll continue to bring you the latest on this developing story. Now, on a more positive note, after failing to meet expectations this year, the future looks bright for this country's largest private sector employer. Atlantis Paradise Island's revenue reportedly fell short by 10 to 12 percentage points in 2013 as a result of a disastrous April. However, executives say they see positive things happening in 2014.
The 2014 is going to be an excellent year.
Barring any major world events, President and Managing Director of Atlantis Paradise Island George Marcantonus says the world-renowned resort is on pace to significantly surpass this year's bookings next year. He's particularly excited about the first 4 months of 2014.
January is going to run about 6 to 7 occupancy percentage points better than 2013. And that's because we have a very good group base this year. And when I say this year, I mean 2014. In 2013, Atlantis was about 25,000 group room nights short.
In fact, he says the resort is 15 percentage points ahead in group room bookings. Then there's March and April, which are Atlantis's 2 peak months.
In March, we ran 85% for the month. It's very hard to improve upon that. I mean, it was a busy month because we had Easter compacted into March. This year, thank goodness, Easter is in April, and it's near the latter part of April, which allows us 2 very solid high occupancy months. And the country needs it.
Group bookings, he says, are looking equally as good in 2015, when officials expect to run about 42% ahead. Marcantonus attributes this to the strengthening of the U.S. housing market, the Dow hitting a record high, and growth in the resort's feeder markets like North America. This spells good news for the Bahamian economy and the resort, which Marcantonus says could have had a better 2013. He says March was a busy month, but April was a disaster.
How was 2013? It could have been better. Did it meet our expectations? No. We missed our expectations. We missed them primarily because of the month of April. Strangely enough, we didn't anticipate what a hit we would take because Easter didn't fall in the month of April, it moved into March.
Moving forward, as the resort prepares to celebrate 20 years in the Bahamas, Marcantonus says they're looking forward to gaining traction in new markets like Latin America.
In 2010, that's not that long ago, we did 1,700 room nights at Atlantis from Latin America. Leisure business, 1,700. This year, 17,000. This year, we had reached the total that we did in 2012, last year, by June. This is a good omen. This is a good omen for our whole country.
Parliamentarians will tackle the gaming bill and disabilities bill early on in the new year. However, one item that's unlikely to appear on the House agenda anytime soon is the controversial marital rape bill. Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson told the Human Rights Council in Geneva back in June that the Bahamian government is considering criminalizing marital rape. However, Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin suggested government has no immediate plans to bring it to Parliament.
It's not being considered on the agenda right now, as I'm aware. With regard to the marital rape bill, we know it was brought up before, we know what happened, and I think if the time comes when we need to know, when we feel that it needs to be considered again, that the government will do what is right.
Talk of the controversial bill resurfaced last week when National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage stressed that amendments to the Sexual Offenses Act would not create a marital rape law. The Ingram administration tabled the bill but eventually shelved it after much controversy. Still to come on NB12 weekend, the Roots predicting a sweet victory on Boxing Day. That story and more after this break.